President Trump has activated approximately 4,700 troops to Los Angeles against Governor Gavin Newsom's wishes. And after protests broke out in response to the federal ICE raids, most of the coverage has focused on the law enforcement response, immigration policy, and also political debate. But what has not been heard is how California's military families feel about these domestic deployments. Joining us now is national security advocate Sarah Strader, and she is executive director of the Secure Families Initiative. And she's working directly with families that are experiencing these domestic deployments from the inside. Also a military spouse herself. Sarah, good morning, or good afternoon, I believe, where you're in London. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, I want to start with this, with telling us a little bit about your mission at Secure Families Initiative and just your role with the military families. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure. We are here to make sure that we help bridge the gap between military and civilian neighbors, and oftentimes that means elevating the lived experience of military families that often go untold. And so today it's a privilege to be bringing some examples and some stories of how military families are living the current moment.
You know, and you are working behind the scenes with many military families, as I mentioned moments ago. Let's have a conversation about what kind of private conversations that are happening, things, as I said earlier, we may not know of and be privy to.
Exactly. This is a moment affecting every single U.S. military family member out there, but not each of us equally, and I could explain. So no matter how far away we are from California right now, every single one of us is watching as members who wear the same uniform as our loved ones do here at our homes are getting deployed against our fellow Americans. And that is deeply unsettling because these deployments are highly charged politically, and they really risk eroding the public's trust in our families' service. But of course, families in California are most directly impacted by the moment. I mean, think of the National Guard family who already endured a separation from their family a few months ago to help their neighbors with wildfire relief. We're now being separated from their families once again, but this time to police the very communities that they live in. Or the Marine Corps family stationed at 29 Palms. The 2-7 is a unit that already endures a steep operational tempo and has borne heavy losses during wartime. So these families are fully accustomed to deployment. But being dispatched to suppress First Amendment protests in your backyard and under dubious legal authority, it just hits different.
Sarah, I'm going to ask you to expound on that. You know, this situation isn't what many of these military folks signed up for, especially the Marines, as you just mentioned there. They're meant to be a lethal force used abroad. I want to talk about really the emotional weight on the families as well as the military armed forces themselves having to be used in this politically charged role and face-to-face with fellow Americans, many maybe they know or they can relate to.
This is a national test of civil military boundaries and democratic norms. As military families, we want at least three things. We want our service to be directed in a way that aligns with our country's values, not politicized. We want missions that align with our service members' core purpose and training so that they can be set up for greatest success. And we want military force to be used as a last resort and not a first response. And this moment violates all three of those principles that I've just listed. It is normalizing the use of military force here at home, and that erodes our family's trust in the system that we've proudly pledged to serve. And of course, you mentioned, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, we are also watching a moment where race and immigration status shape who gets protected and who gets targeted. Nearly 50% of those who serve in uniform are people of color who proudly serve their country, despite the fact that that uniform does not shield them or their families from profiling or discrimination. And now, if you're watching troops mobilized against communities that look a lot like your own, that strikes an even especially painful nerve.
Yeah, you can imagine emotional stress there, maybe the mental stress as well in that. I'll get you out here on this one. Military service, you know, it's a significant pathway to citizenship for tens of thousands of service members and dependents of service members like their children, their spouses. They can also qualify for permanent residency under their service. I want to have a conversation about what so many immigrant families and families of color are feeling right now during all of this, when again, some of them, this is my way to becoming an American citizen.
The fear and the dissonance can't be overstated for exactly the reasons you just said. I mean, over the last couple of months, think of the context this is happening in. We've seen a number of reports about military spouses being detained, even deported. Those are cases where they were following all of the rules. They were going through the legal process that was made available to them to obtain the right documentation, even citizenship through their spouse's military service. Now imagine a service member whose spouse might be on that citizenship pathway, but carries already that extra layer of anxiety that their loved one might be the one targeted next. And now here they are, possibly getting deployed in association with this form of immigration enforcement. Like I said, there's a lot of fear that we're hearing, and there's a lot of dissonance that's just unsustainable for folks.
All right, Sarah Strader with the Secure Families Initiative. Thank you so much for taking some time with us and elaborating on this. We appreciate it.